So you're looking for the right broker to represent you. You got this idea in your head and you want to buy, sell, and or invest in some property. And you need to know what sort of things should you look for in a new agent, things you might not have realized you need to take into consideration, and places that you should look to find quality agents that represent you. I'm going to dig deep into my 15 years of experience and provide you the best insights that I have gathered guiding clients in the PNW on buying and selling their dream homes. So I hope you're excited because I'm pretty pumped about this one, so let's just get right to it. First things first, why choosing the right agent matters. Look, realtors are just people, and just like any lawyer or doctor or any other high-level professional, we can all attest that they're not all created equal. The right agent can absolutely make or break your transaction, which could be an absolute game changer when it comes to your net worth, moving into your dream home, or selling your family's property for top dollar. This is one of those things that you don't want to take lightly. In fact, you want to be pretty dang serious about it because quality matters. But before we get into the specifics of what you need to look for, first thing that you need to decide is whether or not this agent and you have a good rapport. And yes, that matters a lot. That agent has a communication style that fits and matches yours, and that ultimately that they're open to your feedback on how you want this process to go. Having an agent that's flexible in their approach but has a system in place, whether or not you know exactly what you want or not, is really one of those subtle signs that you're working with a true professional. But before we get too far, I just want to ask you guys if you can go ahead and do us a huge favor and like the video below. It really helps push us in the algorithm, or at least that's what they say. We are a growing channel and it really means the world to us. And if you like what you see, please sub below. We make content every single week about life in Spokane and the surrounding areas. We're here to not only help educate and show you what our beautiful region has to offer, but we're literal relocation experts. So if you're thinking of making a move to the greater Spokane region, it'd mean the world to us if you gave us a call, reached out to us, and we will get on that to helping you fulfill your dream of moving to the greater Spokane region. All right, enough of that. What qualities should you specifically be looking for in a real estate broker? Like we already said, number one is definitely quality of communication. This isn't one of those things where more is better. This is one of those things where clear communication, making sure that you understand exactly where you're at and what's going on in your transaction, is something that you're 100% clear on. So in the spirit of clear communication, I want to give you guys a few terms that you need to know so that when I say them that we're on the same page. Mainly what I'm talking about, I interchange the words agent and broker. You can think of those as one and the same here in the state of Washington. Now look, I'm going to show my age a little bit here, but when I first got started, we were real estate agents. But some point in the early 2000s, that transitioned and we all became brokers. Brokers used to mean that you oversaw a bunch of agents, but now they decided all real estate agents are brokers. And those agents who once oversaw us, called brokers, are now dubbed managing brokers. So if you hear me say real estate agent, broker, real estate broker, realtor, for the purposes of this video, they're all synonymous and one in the same. All right, now qualities to look. Now this one is market to market dependent, but especially in our area, you want to work with a broker that has a good sense of professionalism about them. And what I mean by that is that they take their job as servicing you and this transaction seriously. Subtle things to look for here are they dress well. I'm talking about hygiene in the works, because let's be honest, if they can't even be bothered to take care of themselves, are you sure that they are going to actually take care of you to the best of their ability? Communication skills. We already touched on this, but again, it is that important that your broker communicates in a way and style that you prefer. I always ask my clients, for example, whether or not they prefer email, text, or phone calls for communications. This ensures that I'm communicating in the way that they prefer, tailoring my process to their experience and expectations. Not only that, you want to make sure that the agent is responsive and prioritizes you, or at least makes you feel like a priority in their mode of operation. In my experiences, agents that take way too long to respond, I'm talking hours and hours or days and days, tend to be the exact ones that have sloppy contracts, disgruntled clients, and ultimately, they're prone to getting lawsuits. Communication and professionalism is just that important. It signals whether or not they treat their job as a job, a career, or business. Ultimately, any agent, any broker, any managing broker, any realtor that doesn't treat this as their own business is not taking it that serious and should be one of those things that you factor into your decision on whether or not you ultimately choose to work with them or not. Next quality, you want to look for experience. Now, this is one of those things where I caveat this, where you need to not just consider the amount of time that they've been licensed as a real estate agent. No. That matters much less than the amount of transactions that they've done in the recent past. I have teammates on my team that have only been licensed a few years, yet they've done 2 or 3 times the amount of transactions in that 2 to 3 years that some of their peers and counterparts that have a dozen or more years of experience. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, the way I see it is that the real estate landscape is constantly and continuously changing, and it's ultimately a game of times at bat. What I mean is how many reps they got in today's market. That's going to be one of those factors that absolutely makes a difference between a smooth transaction and a transaction that may be more abrasive. With that being said, if you fall in love with an agent because of their personality and traits and you know that they were newly licensed, I would still consider communication skills and enthusiasm to be a priority over their years of experience, especially if you feel that your transaction is going to be relatively straightforward. But if you feel there might be highs and lows throughout the transaction, experience is really one of those game changers that absolutely can facilitate whether or not this is even possible or not. Next thing to look for is their local knowledge. This is one of those things where I find that agents either know it or they don't. Ask some pretty candid and straightforward questions like, what's the average days on market? And you need to listen to their answer very carefully. Any broker that tells you a straightforward 1-sentence answer, something to the effect of, the average days on market right now are about 7. That can be an indicator for you that that agent might not have the best local knowledge. And what I mean by that, because they didn't give enough detail and context to their answer. Now, I don't know about nationwide, but at least here in the state of Washington, what I find to be the case is that question is more complicated than straightforward. Bear with me. So the way a professional would answer that question would be, in this price point, you can expect this many days on market. In this price point, you can expect this many days on market. In this price point, it should be this, that, and another. These questions tend to actually have more complicated answers because the market and the conditions and the things that need to be taken into consideration are much more complex than your average buyer or seller would normally realize. Here in the Spokane market, typically the lower the price point, the less days on market, and the higher the price point, the more days on market. If they don't know those simple basic facts and what those cutoff points are and give you a more articulate answer, that could be a sign that their local knowledge really isn't up to par. Not to mention a passive way in which you can kind of deceive whether or not they have the local knowledge that you're looking for is whether or not they're educating you about some tidbits that you didn't even know about your local area. If you've been a resident of the area your entire life and your realtor's telling you one fact after another that's just blowing your mind because you've never heard it before, it could be a good indicator that they actually have a robust and a respectable knowledge of the local marketplace. And I would see that as an absolute green light to go ahead and move forward with it. All right, a tried and true thing that you could always look into is client reviews. These days, you can look up any agent basically on Google or Zillow, and you're going to find a series of reviews for them, client testimonials. They can give you some insights of the type of work and quality that this agent produces. Now, what I will say about that is some of the more experienced or seasoned agents oftentimes don't prioritize getting reviews from their clients. This could be because of the nature of their relationship with them, like friends and family and such. Or it could be one of those things that they have a business that is so mature that they don't really need the reviews in order to gain more business. It can just not be a priority. So this is one of those things that, yes, look it up. Every agent should have at least a few reviews, but don't be too surprised if you don't see an absolute laundry list of client after client just giving rave reviews about their agent. It's normally one of those things that agents really have to press for and really go out of their way to even get. I don't know about you, but I rarely leave reviews on well, anything. So it's one of those things where mainly what you will find is actually the angry ones. If you look up your agent and you find that they have 5 bad reviews in a row, all tailoring somewhat of a similar experience, where it doesn't seem like your agent really has a good excuse of what happened, then that just could be one of those data points. But again, I would rate that much lower on the list than communication, experience, and local knowledge. All right, last major quality that I feel that you guys should be looking for. And look, this is one that you're not going to find all around the internet. This is basically my own invention. It's something that we like to call on our team emotional intelligence. Now, behind the scenes in the real estate world, broker to broker, a lot of times the feedback that our coaches and mentors tell us when we're getting started is that we ultimately do 2 things above all else. We manage client expectations and we handle emotions. Emotional intelligence is one of those things where your realtor has a good sense of exactly what you're feeling, going through, and how to help guide you through your emotional state so that you feel better about taking the next step. Look, this is one of those things where it's a little bit taboo to say because a lot of people feel that it's kind of like leading your clients in a direction that they didn't ask you to. But personally, I completely disagree. Plain and simple. My goal is to accomplish your goals. Your goals are whatever you told me, but ultimately the finish line is always, always, always buying or selling that piece of property. Here's what I can tell you. The purchase and sell of property is unnecessarily complicated. Something virtually almost always goes wrong somewhere during the process itself. And the right agent is going to recognize when you're starting to feel low or get broken down, and is going to know the right moment to come in and guide and hold and support you so that we can take the next step. We rinse and repeat that process, continually pushing the process forward until one day, hopefully we all celebrate over a drink because we got you into your dream home. If you bought or sold property before, I bet you if you look back, you're going to find a moment where your agent really helped you deal with some emotions that you were feeling during that process. And that would be because we recognize the patterns from previous transactions before, where we had clients go through the exact same thing, feeling the exact same way. So we're often pretty familiar with what you're feeling with at any given moment. And if we have good emotional intelligence, we'll know exactly what to say and do to make you feel better. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't know exactly how you would find that in an agent quality via a questionnaire or interview process. But if you get a sense that they are good at handling your emotions, making you feel at ease and confident about the process ahead, that could be a good indicator that they have a high EQ and a really good positive sign that they're the agent for you. Moving on, questions to ask when choosing an agent. All right, besides everything that we already spoken about, where we're basically investigating some qualities that this agent may or may not possess, there's one additional question that you should definitely ask that your potential broker should have a really good answer for. That's going to be something to the effect of, tell me about how you handle negotiations, pricing strategies, and potential challenges during transactions. This is one of those things where the right agent, the superstar, if you will, is going to really stand out and shine above the rest. The right agent, the good ones, always, always, always see this process as a series of negotiations, strategy, and problem solving. The good ones will have stories for days about how they handled this, negotiated that, and came up with the perfect price on a property that was supposedly unsellable, etc., so on and so on. This open-ended question is really one of those things where this agent gets an opportunity to highlight what really matters, how they bring value to the table, and whether or not they really know what they're doing at all. By far and away, what I see with new agents and older agents all the time that really irks me is they're essentially just paper pushers. It's exactly the type of behavior that makes people feel that agents really aren't worth anything. It's really one of those pet peeves of mine that I just can't stand. Anyone could pass a form from one person to the next and like you expect to be paid for it is freaking ridiculous. You gotta find opportunities to provide value to your clients so that they choose you and ultimately respect what you do. Now, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds here, but I just want to highlight how important and impactful that something as simple as your broker's ability to negotiate really truly is. I mean, negotiations is one of those things that could save you tens of thousands or make you tens of thousands of dollars from a skilled negotiator, or just leaves it on the table and you never knew that you could have had it. It's the difference between a paper pusher and someone who exercises their skills in order for you to benefit. So that's one additional question that I would heavily consider asking the proper broker that I was looking to represent myself. Now that you know the things to look for, I want to highlight some red flags of things that you should definitely avoid from your agent. Now, a lot of this is pretty straightforward. It's basically the opposite of the things that you should look for. I'm talking about a lack of responsiveness, poor communication that just doesn't align with your style, and incredibly limited availability. Good agents find a way to work with many clients. Great agents find a way to work with few clients that they absolutely serve to the highest ability possible, meaning that they definitely have time to work with you through your problems, guide you through the process, and give you the appropriate amount of attention that frankly you deserve. But ultimately, this is one of those things where I really want to encourage you guys, trust your gut, trust your instinct. If you're getting some sort of wishy-washy or on the fence feeling or bad feeling, especially about this person in front of you, they're just not for you. The right broker will stand out. It'll be very easy. The rapport will be natural. They'll know what they're doing. They'll be able to articulate it in a very clear and communicative way, and they'll just make it fun. A lot of my feedback from my clients is just like, I knew it when I met you. So if that's not your gut speaking, I don't know what is, but definitely trust your gut on this one. A female realtor peer of mine once told me if they remind you of your ex in any way, then they're just not for you. All right, let's get to it. How to find the right agent. I mean, where do you even look for these people other than some of the obvious choices, right? I'd be all but willing to bet they got a friend or family member who's definitely licensed, and or your Facebook wall is absolutely covered in realtor acquaintances that you've known some way, somehow throughout your past. First things first, look through the content and stuff that they're putting out there. Make sure it's of a quality or something that indicates that they show that they care what they do, are putting out good information, and may or may not have a pretty decent following to boot. This on top of, go ahead and look them up on Zillow or Google, read through some of their reviews, check out their Instagram and other social media profiles. Make sure they seem to have a personality that you truly want to work with. And one of the best ways, honestly, is ask your friends and family who've recently bought or sold homes, who they worked with and whether or not they would work with them again. This is one of those things where you need to pay attention when you ask this, because if you get anything less than a, oh yeah, you got to work with this person type energy, then trust me, just keep looking. If it's a, yeah, they were good, I would work with them again, or worse, it just isn't worth your time. There's plenty of great agents out there with great personalities and skill sets. This is one of those things where there's absolutely zero reason to settle. Another thing that you may want to consider, if you get 2 or 3 of those absolutely ecstatic people who were crazy about their agent, get all that contact info, gather them together, set some time aside, and literally run an interview process. Because just because an agent was a great fit for one of your friends or family and trusted ones, doesn't mean they're necessarily the perfect fit for you. Go ahead and sit them down and ask them to kind of describe some of the qualities that they have, some of their processes and how they work with clients. This is one of those things where it's easy to kind of just have a small talk dialogue back and forth with someone, and you're going to get a good sense right away of whether or not you like this person or not. Don't tolerate awkwardness. Don't tolerate someone who doesn't seem confident. Don't tolerate someone that doesn't make you feel comfortable or uneasy or negative anything really. Like I said, the perfect agent is out there for you, and it's absolutely worth the due diligence of finding the right one. All right, guys, that's what I have for you today. Let's just recap real quick. The things that you want to look for in order of most importance real quick are an excellent communication style that absolutely mimics and matches yours, someone easy to have a great time with excellent rapport, with a good respectable amount of experience and local knowledge, isn't setting off any sort of red flags, and has a good ability to demonstrate their value to you. I mean, just imagine having a dedicated agent that highly aligns with you at your side as your advocate and ally to help facilitate one of the most important purchases of your life. When you find the right agent, you are going to have a natural affinity and rapport that more often than not transcends the transaction itself, and you're going to find yourself having a really good friend. It's one of the absolute best parts of my job, meeting and working with great people such as yourself. Which, speaking of, if you're looking to move over to our beautiful city of Spokane and the surrounding area, be sure to reach out to us. We get calls, texts, messages, and emails every single day from people just like you who are looking to move to our beautiful city of Spokane. I look forward to hearing from you. If you like what you saw, feel free to subscribe. We produce content every single week and we'd love to hear from you. So feel free to write anything in the comments below, any sort of feedback that you feel may be helpful and or content that you're looking for so that you can help guide the direction of the channel itself. But until then, I'll be seeing you all later.